there were some interesting statistics that were revealed this week, which is that the fertility rate in England and Wales is at an all-time low. Women now are having, on average, 1.44 children. Now, globally, this is the case too. It's not just in the Western world. Across the globe, the birth rate is changing. So, back to 1950, globally, 5 births per woman. Now, it's 2.3. So in some nations, it's higher, but it's still 2.3 globally and 1.44 here. What's going on? Why are we not having as many children? I'll ask you, Anne, as a woman. What's your take on it?
Yes, because I've only got one.
Me too.
I think it's a very hard decision these days. People want to work. Life's very expensive. Life seems to be, easier for those with several salaries coming in. You might want to think about whether you want to bring children into the world at the moment. Our environment is quite challenging, not just, the geopolitical environment, the social environment, the culture. These are problematic times, and maybe people wonder whether it's the right time to have children.
Yes, and what's interesting is when you dig down into the data, it's not just those that are more wealthy that are deciding, or it's not just the poor, rather, that can't afford it. It's like every demographic, it's come down.
Yeah, well, times have changed. When I was in my teenagers and things, contraception wasn't there. People had babies. It was a different world. Contraception has made a big difference. And like I say, people want careers, and they keep putting babies off until late in their lives. And I think there is a syndrome called the precious child syndrome. You've got one child, and you have them later on, and that's your precious little. If anything should happen to that, that's why you get the spoiled child and the way that it's brought out.
Steady on there. I've got one child and she is not spoiled.
I don't say I agree with that, but there is something in it. You get a child in your third. You would in your 30s when you had probably late on.
Yes.
And the fear of losing that one. When we were, if you got 5 children, I know it's great, but you lost one. You got 4, but it's a different world now.
Interesting. I mean, there is something, isn't there? And I think that women, certainly now compared to 50 years ago, are freer to choose.
That's right.
We choose. And I think those of us, that get stuck into jobs in our 20s, we do want to kind of see what happens. And then sometimes you're not able to have a child or more than one, and so on, because your fertility rate declines the longer you leave it. But I have my theory, which is with more women working full time than ever before, we're shattered. And it's not just an added luxury, to make your life happier having kids. It's tough.
It's a serious commitment.
It's tough, yeah.
And the fact is that the majority of that commitment falls on the woman.
Yeah.
And what we haven't spoken about is actually whether couples actually stay together, whether they feel that they can rely on a partner. Yeah. There are so many factors here, but I think culture, society, what you want out of your life has changed.
Could I just say, you say that it is difficult for everybody working. You imagine being in the 50s, and I can remember that far back, with 5 children. You say the woman didn't come to the end of the day, absolutely shattered.
No, 100%.
It was a different world, but there has been a breakdown in family life. You don't have Sunday dinners together. There's only 3 of you. The world has changed.
Yeah.
But some people might say not for the better.
Let me just throw something in before the break. The reason this is actually a big concern across the globe with certain people is that it skews the ratio of those that are older to those that are younger. So in the UK in the 1950s, there were 5 people in work to every pensioner, state pensioner. Now there are 3 workers to every pensioner. By 2050, in the UK, it's predicted to be 2 workers to 1 pensioner. So that's a massive welfare bill. Healthcare, this has an impact. What do we make of it? I mean, we think this has been a difficult budget. Think about it in 20 years.
So we are in an ageing population, and there's a lot to go at this, but especially with the precious child syndrome. But the aging population, can I count myself as the younger? But how can us then look after an aging world? And that's going to instantly change the engagement of how we engage with other people. And then you include the dynamic of technology. How do we then include technology just as to the ways in which we talk to one another?
Plenty of challenges